Hi guys, Sandra here and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be talking about something personal, but something that can and affects everyone, and that is thinning hair, because I've got so much of it, and going balding. Let's just say it for what it is. Okay, so I've always had nice hair, and I've always had it long and blonde. That's most of my life. That's what it's been. This is my natural colour, but it's always been long and blonde, and I loved it. It's never been super thin, but it was fine. But it was fine in good condition, etc, etc. And then about 10 years ago, when I started in my early 40s, very early 40s, I didn't notice that I started to get some. I noticed I started to get some little patches, just things I started to notice, and didn't really take that much notice. But then a couple of years later, I noticed I started to get a few more patches, and when I moved my hair at the time, I noticed that the lines here were getting wider. And yeah, it is something I thought about. Let's fast forward a bit now to how it is now. I look like a hunched hunched over. It's because I'm on my floor. And yeah, one of the things I would say that is very difficult for people to kind of grasp and get their heads around is, as you start to age, your hair gets a little bit thinner. There are some people, I'm sure, out there who don't. They have thick, full hair and it doesn't happen, but majority of people, it will start getting thinner. And if you already started off with fine hair, it's going to be noticeable. And that is the time that feels very isolating and lonely. I think those are two words that I could use to describe it. I know my husband always used to say, well, stop bleaching it, stop doing all these things to it, you're just making it worse. And that can have an effect on it as well, obviously, putting chemicals on your hair. But ultimately, looking at my family history, it's something that happens. And for a while I did go into a funk, and not a good one, because there's Pinterest, there's YouTube, we're subjected to pictures of women with beautiful hair, everywhere. Everywhere they've got the lovely long hair, and not all of them is the real hair. Look at the Kardashians. We know that people, they switch it up with different wigs and stuff like that, but it can have that, it can put you into a bit of a low, that you start thinking about, and every time you wash your hair you think about. And then if you're like me, you start looking at the shampoos that you're using, and then start doing research on shampoos that are going to strengthen or nourish, or even shampoos that aim to grow your hair back, and then the oils, and start doing treatments from Pinterest, at home treatments, etc, etc. I went all that route. It annoyed the crap out of my husband because I went that route, but I think that you do. And society is changing its views slightly now. It is especially from the younger generation who buzz cut their hair, is the fact that I've always thought it's easy for men to start going bald because it's acceptable for a man, but for a woman, you know, it's hard. In the past, women would wear wigs. Women would feel ashamed, cover up. They would wear headbands, head turbans, hats. I used to have customers when I was an esthetician who would come through who wore wigs. They were much older women. They wore wigs. They would take it off for the treatment and would not leave the house without that wig back on because they didn't feel beautiful. They didn't feel like a full woman because, you know, you're taught from a very young age, or it's instilled in you from a very young age, your hair is beautiful, you know, it is your beauty, etc., etc. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying how it is, or how it was when I was growing up. And there are some cultures out there of women who never cut their hair. You know, there are some religions that never cut, they keep them lovely and long. I don't know how they deal with it, to be honest, when it happens to them, the poor girls. But so here we are. And how do you deal with it? You know, because you can try every treatment, spend a lot of money, but ultimately it's gonna go that way, and you have to find a way to deal with it and cope with it that makes you feel good. And there were lots of different ways I started to deal with mine. I watched a lot of videos on women who were going bald, and, you know, just things that would just uplift me. I went on Pinterest and I started to look at women who had buzz cuts and how beautiful they looked, and eventually I started to realise that you don't need a full head of hair to, one, be a woman, to two, feel beautiful, and to three, you don't need it. It's all to do with your attitude. It really is. And the way I look at it is like this. The human body, inside our body, there are millions and millions and millions and millions of what I call little people. I know they're not, but it's what I call. They all have a function inside your body. And their function is to keep it healthy, to protect your brain and your heart. They don't care what the outside of you looks like. Okay? If you start to get ill for some reason, with some kind of illness, obviously, what they will do is they will go from their respective posts. Everybody will run to that area and start fighting off that disease, which is why sometimes when you see people who are going through very, very bad treatments, you know, they're recovering, they're fighting illnesses, they look very sallow, they've got hair loss, they visually look ill, but they are fighting inside. That's because everything will go and fight for you to keep you alive. They don't care about the aesthetic. They don't care what you think. They don't care if you feel bad about the way you look. That's what they do. For 50 years, my body has given me a beautiful set of hair. I know you can argue and say, well, it comes out and it's dead when it grows out. But for 50 years, I have relished and lived with beautiful hair. It's never asked me, my scalp's never asked me for anything. My skin's never asked me for anything. I have used treatments, I've used bleaches, I've used dyes, I've used shampoos. I've done everything to it to make my hair look beautiful, as one does. But it's never asked me for anything in return. It's never said to me, Sandra, can you give me a break? You know, just give me a break. And even though I would go through having scalp acne, which was a sign, and I would suffer with redness and soreness in my scalp, I still didn't listen, you know. I was more consumed with my own selfish wanting to look visually pretty. And in return, I took my scalp, and my body has said, you know what, I need a break. Just give me a break. And so I'm giving it a break. Just am. I took the decision a couple of years ago. For the very first time, my hair was thinning a lot. It was thinning, and I had patches. I mean, even now you can see it's not thick, but I had patches in my hair, and I shaved it down to about an inch, which is probably about what it is now. And some would say that is drastic. My husband thought that was drastic, and to him it was. And while I did it, I was shaking. And my husband wanted to do it, and I said, no, I'm going to do it. And I went in the bathroom and I did it. And I looked at myself in the mirror, and for the first time, I think in my life, I saw my face. It was the strangest, I can't even say how it felt. I felt empowered. I felt empowered. I didn't cry. I was shaking while I was doing it because I've never done it. But I actually felt that for the first time in my life, I'd done something unselfish. Is that the word? I'd listened to my head, listened to my scalp, and I thought, I'm going to give you a break, my darling. And I'm going to do this. And I went and took a shower, and I came out and I was like, oh my gosh, feel my head. Feel my head. Do men feel this all the time? How good it feels, how soft. And over the years since, I think it's been two, 3 years since I've started growing it out again. And then I always take it back down to a buzz style cut. I think my husband would like me to grow it long and lovely and lush again. And I would like to. You know, I've always wanted dreadlocks. And I know that people say, well, grow it a bit longer and you can use dreadlock extensions. That you certainly can. There are lots of things open. But ultimately, I actually feel really good like this. The very first, I've got to be conscious of time, so I may do this a 2-part video. The very first time I went out with it buzzed, I did actually have somebody come up to me and ask if I had cancer, and I didn't know how to deal with that. And I let her talk about her cancer, and then I, gave her a hug, and she walked away. But now it's my choice. I don't cover my head because I've done nothing wrong. I don't feel the need, unless I want to, wear a headscarf. And if I do, it's because it looks good. My white is starting to come in, and I'm loving that. And obviously it's easier to wash my hair. I just literally wash my hair, towel dry it, no styling, no nothing. Some of my patches are coming in, some of them are not. Obviously, if you do start to have a sudden, loss of hair, it could be medical, I don't know. So if you want to talk to your doctor about it, talk to your doctor about it. But with me, mine is just the aging process and the tiredness. It's just tired. So yes, now my scalp's been given. I've given it the respect it deserves. And if it never grows in back fully again, I'm okay with that. I really am. I like it like this. So To all my lovely ladies, to all my lovely gentlemen, to all my lovely non-binaries, anybody out there who starts to experience hair loss, it's okay. It is. You're still beautiful. Your beauty isn't your hair. If you want to wear a wig because it makes you feel beautiful, wear a wig. If you want to cover it up, cover it up. But don't feel that you have to. And that's the thing. You don't have to do these things. You do you. You do what's best for you. You do what you feel that's going to make you feel good on the inside. And I'm fortunate that I have been going through a journey over the last couple of years of making myself feel good inside and doing different things to do that I feel good with it like this. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I love to see women with hair like this now, I really do. I just think it's so empowering. The empowerment you feel when you know that you do not need your hair to feel beautiful it's everything. That's selfish, isn't it? But it is, it's everything. Anyhow, it may be a topic I touch on again because I have gone over the time. But I just wanted to say thank you for listening to me. Stay safe, stay healthy,